Hello and welcome back to the first Molby on the Spot of the new season. I'm Trev Downey here in my field in beautiful rural Ireland and joined, of course, by the legend that is Mr. Jan Molby. Welcome back, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Good afternoon, Trevor. We're ready to go again, I feel, although there's still a bit of work to be done, I think, but we're as ready as we're going to be.
Yeah, lots to talk about, and it'll be interesting for people to hear your take on topics that have been, in some ways, talked to death, and in other ways, still have a lot to say about them because there is news breaking all the time. Before we get into any specific stories, the overall feeling, it's a bit weird, isn't it? And you and I were just talking before the mics went live, and you can say whatever you want to say in regards to that, but just it is a bit strange, isn't it? Considering how gung-ho we were at the start, how ridiculously fast out of the blocks we were, and doing incredible business, right down to the Ekitike deal, which was like quite decisive in and of itself. Getting a lad who we believe, at least, was sort of sitting by the phone waiting for us, Jan, to make that call and preferring Liverpool to all other comers, as was the wonderful talent that is Florian Wirtz. It's really exciting to have these deals under our belts, along with the two fullbacks who look great, exciting, full of potential. That window was on course to be the greatest ever. It still may be. Maybe it will be regardless of what happens. But it feels as if, like you just hinted at, it's unfinished. And it's really weird that we may end the window, if it doesn't pan out the right way, with a feeling that it didn't go well, which is kind of crazy.
I think what happened, Trevor, because we made some excellent signings early on without playing games. So you kind of just think, well, what an exciting squad we've got. And then the games come, and then you start to look and you go, whoa, hold on. We're a little bit light here. As always happens in pre-season, one or two people pick up injuries. Unfortunately, the people who are picking up injuries in pre-seasons are the people who more or less always pick up injuries. So they go in that category of being injury prone. That puts you on even more pressure. But I do think that where we're at right now, we're in a situation where Arne Slot feels he can start the season. He's ready to go. One or two problems he feels he can cope with within the squad, i.e. centre half. I think he feels that Endo or even Gravenberch might be able to play there should we need it. And I do believe we will make more signings before the window closes. It's now tactical, isn't it? What happens between now and the end of the season very much smells of being tactical, even to the extent of, trying to sell Harvey Elliott, where I think we feel there's an opportunity to get really good money for Harvey. And so we're going to play a little bit of hardball on that. And also in terms of the players that are coming in, I think the two will be being linked with Isak and Mark Gay down at Crystal Palace. I think we probably feel that both clubs are overvaluing both of them a little bit at the moment. So we're just going to play. I think we're going to play a little bit of a cool game until a channel of conversation opens up again.
Yeah, and I think that's where people struggle, is with the whole patience aspect of it. It's because it's easy to say, don't worry, it'll get done. But there's a reality to the way things are at the moment that I wouldn't mind discussing with you in a bigger, wider perspective. If we just have a look here at the team squad, just the first team squad, and it looks a little bit thin, perhaps. Now, if there's one area where we're really well off, Jan, it's right here in the goalkeeping department. That's where things are very good indeed, and that's where it looks very healthy. But after that, it starts to be a little bit less so. So we've got Ali. It was great to see him play. We've got Mamardashvili, who had a mixture of moments in pre-season, one or two fantastic saves, one or two kind of dodgy moments. This highly rated Armin Pesci has come in, and we've got this reliable sort of journeyman in Freddie Woodman. Now, however, we get to the defence, and straight away out the gap, the point you made about this lad here, without mentioning his name, is well taken. I think maybe this injury may have decided an awful lot of people on whether or not Joe Gomez is someone that we can rely on going forward in any way, shape, or form. So that's a worry. Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahim Konate, we worry, don't we, that they might be possibly lads who could pick up the injuries for long term. We've got Milos Kerkez, who's come in and it looks like he's going to be first choice. Conor Bradley, who's already injured and has been injured. I think someone broke down the sums for 48 games and played and been available for 52 games of his professional career so far. We've got Kostas Tsimikas, who it wasn't in the squad at the weekend, and Ali Robbo, who's very much in the veteran category now. Jeremy Frimpong, who's come in and look exciting. Reece Williams and Calvin Ramsey, both of whom look like they're on their way out. In midfield, we've got Wataru Endo, who the manager doesn't really seem to fancy much. We've got Dom and Alex McAllister. We've got Curtis Jones. Harvey Elliott looks like he's on his way out. Ryan Gravenberg won't be available for the first game of the season due to suspension. Trainioni looks exciting, but you're not going to build your team around him at that age. And Stefan Bajcetic is another one who looks like he's going to be leaving. And then finally, you've got Florian Wirtz, who's come in up in the attacking side of things, alongside Salah, Chiesa, who we had linked with a move away, Cody Gakpo, Hugo Ekitike, and Ben Doak, who's also been linked with a move away. But it's starting to look a bit light there, Jans. The Sums on it recently and said that we may only have 18 senior players currently, unless we add to them. And the reality is we're looking to add to them. We're going to get to those stories in a minute. But what do you make of that squad as is? As is, it's ironically, because we have sold well and we look to be about to sell even more, it is just on that light side, isn't it, in several areas?
I feel very much so. And as I said before, it was once we started to play games, and you have a starting 11 and you look what's available on the bench, and you always have to assume that on most match days, you're going to have at least 2 or 3 players unavailable through injuries. So it was a worry. It's almost like, do they know something that we don't know in terms of the youngsters that they might be prepared to involve? Young players, their time more often than not is pre-season, yeah? And we tend to get excited about young players pre-season because it doesn't really matter. And you can chuck them in and you see them, whatever. But as exciting as they are, I just don't see any of them being ready to be involved for real. Some of them due to maybe even lack of ability or due to physicality. Others due to age, I mean, if we want to be, which is our aim, isn't to be the best team in Europe, and Gamoa 16, it's a little bit early, isn't it? So, yeah, we look light. We could possibly sign another 4, couldn't we, before the window closes? Isak and a centre-half, maybe even 2 centre-halves. I mean, I would probably think we'd sign 2 centre-halves, but I'd also like another midfield player. If Javier Elliott is going and Leone is, maybe it's a bit too early for a mission. So, yeah, there's still work to be done. As much as we, 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, thought, this is a great window, isn't it? We're going places here. How are the rest going to cope? But it quickly becomes real again, isn't it? Because you start to play games, then you realise, okay, well, the opposition turn up, and they're also very good, i.e. what we've seen at Wembley on Sunday. Palace can play, can't they? Well organised, got good players, they give you a game. And then you look and you think, this is not going to be as straightforward as we think, which on one hand is great, isn't it? But yeah, there's still work to be done. The surprising bit is that we cruised in the title last year and we've decided to do all this. I think we've got to be careful we don't do too much.
Well, that's where I was going to go just before we get into specifics. Your man has been around an awful lot of high-quality squads and seen them overhauled. Probably the most famous one for Liverpool fans will be the 87-88 campaign, where there was 4 sort of very prominent additions, which made a big difference to the league win that year. It should have been a double, as you will remember only too well. But that was 4 players. This is going to be more, and it's not just the incomings. It's not like we've gone out and done like a Chelsea or an AC Milan back in the day and just scooped up all the good lads and added them to our existing squad. There has been a huge amount of outgoings. We had the spectacularly tragic loss of Diogo Jota, which you just can't legislate for. But in reality, there's probably a world where Diogo might have been one of the ones who would have been leaving anyway. Darwin Núñez is literally just out the door, following the footsteps of Luis Diaz. These are big, big exits. Kwanzaa is one who was there or thereabouts with the first team squad, and he's also out the gap. And we know we're going to probably add the likes of Harvey Elliott and some others to it before this is all over. So the turnover is quite spectacular, both in ins and in outs. I'm not asking you to make any predictions, but having been around professional squads, that kind of a shake-up, I guess there would be good and bad sides to it, wouldn't there, in terms of the dynamic and the camaraderie between the crew?
Yeah, and I'm even surprised you haven't mentioned the fullbacks. I know that Robertson is still at the club, but his game time is going to be limited, isn't it? And Trent's gone. And this is the one big argument I've had with my friends during the summer. My argument is that you don't just replace Trent and Robbo. You know, as good as these new kids might be, but Trent and Robbo brought so much more than just being good footballers. And so that in itself is going to be a challenge, isn't it? Yeah, in terms of the whole sort of atmosphere and mood in the camp, it can have an impact. Obviously, the Shota thing, very, very tragic, and you felt that, and of course it would have. It hurts everybody, didn't it, Trevor? But obviously some players were closer to it than others. But I also felt that there was things going, one or two players looked and went, well, we didn't quite see that one going. Because when you as a player are in a squad and the club sells somebody, you don't mind going. It's that kind of, yeah. But, sometimes the club do sell somebody, you go, and I just feel that I think a lot of players, and I'm talking about experienced players because young players are not in a position to just see things because they don't know what it takes. But I think some of the players, we heard Virgil van Dijk talk after the weekend that I hope that the club still bring in players. And I think Virgil would have probably looked at that and gone, what we're getting rid of here now is a proven Premier League player who is inconsistent, but he never lets you down in terms of work rate. His numbers were good last year. And I think Virgil knows that they're big numbers that's walking out the door, So, yeah, I think there's some kind of frustration. And also because it hasn't quite clicked, has it? We've seen signs from all our new players. And I don't think anyone's in doubt that all our new players are really, really good players. But you also feel with the Premier League, you need to be right, don't you, from the word go. You need to be bang on. You can't find your feet and find your way into the Premier League, and after 6 games, you've lost 1 and drawn 2, You're almost out of the race, and so you're also under that kind of pressure. So, the next couple of weeks are big in terms of making sure we get the wins. But there's a couple of beasts of games in there, having to go to Newcastle and then play Arsenal at Anfield before the window closes. So the pressure's on.
The pressure is on from minute one. And there's a lovely kind of irony in the fact that last season when we did kind of walk away with the league effectively, the thing that was there was that solidity and that uniformity in the squad. It was the same squad from the year before. You added Chiesa, who didn't play, and that was it. So we had a fellow working with someone else's squad, and he did so to great effect. Now he is refashioning the squad in his own image, and it's so very different. But like you said, some very exciting signs.
Do you think, Trevor, that there's something to be said for a Jurgen Klopp type player? And we're obviously having less and less of Jurgen Klopp's squad, aren't we? More and more of them are moving on. Was there some steel and determination about the players that Klopp brought in and the way that he introduced them, the way that his demands were? I just sometimes think that Klopp installed something in them, that sometimes a slight lack of ability might cover. So I'm also a little bit worried about some of top sort of fringe players that we don't end up without too many of them, because they just, in my opinion, had a bit of steel about them, you know.
Yeah, the thing about Jurgen is lads would run through walls for him now, whereas maybe Arne doesn't inspire quite that same loyalty yet. I did see a really interesting interview with Ibu Kanate talking about how he had been showing them videos about how to approach different teams and what different teams were doing and what we should do to counter that. And there was a sort of amazement in his voice when, like, you know, looking back on a league-winning campaign, he goes, he was right, you know? So I think that probably stands very much in his favour. You know how judgmental a group of footballers is, especially those at the high level. You know, you've been part of groups watching managers walk in, watching new lads walk onto the training pitch and go, well, let's see what you're about. And it struck me as you were saying that there, you must have been having flashbacks to maybe the Graham Souness era, where you were talking about, you know, lads walking out the door who still had something to offer. There was quite a few in that time, wasn't there, where Graham thought they were maybe too much part of the Kenny era or past their sell-by date or whatever, and as a result ended up leaving the club. And you must have been thinking, watching some of those guys go, wow, is that wise? Or am I putting thoughts in your head there?
No, absolutely not, Trevor. I mean, it was not a thought we had at the time, but when I look back, I can maybe understand that squad that finished second in 1991 might not have been able to win the league because of, well, mainly because of what Manchester United all of a sudden produced from nowhere, you know, and then you had to compete with the level that they were at. So when you look back, I can probably go, well, okay, that squad might not have been able to win the league. But still, as they went through the door, you've gone, oh, I don't think that was wise. And I've told you this one before, haven't you? About Peter Beers when he went to Everton. I mean, like, we were up in arms, you know. First, we were blaming Peter for sneaking out through the back door, but he hadn't been told to go, isn't it? You know, so yeah, it does happen. And I just think that the experienced players who've been through it, who've been through seasons, 55, 60 games, knows exactly what it requires. And you would rather have a bunch of guys who've done it, you know, than the unknown.
Before we move on to the first kind of major story that we want to deal with on an isolated basis, loads and loads of love for you in the comments there, my friend. As you could well imagine, it's always nice to open it up and to hear what people have to say. Lots of love for Jan in the comments. Fair play, keep them coming in. And just to mention, Glyn mentions there that the 86 Cup final was the Molby final. He says, well, just so happens that we are going to do a little bit of a feature on that, Jan and I. We'd kind of planned to do it this show, but the way clock is ticking already, I think it may well be the next one. So we will be fitting that in over the next couple of shows. Keep your eyes out for that. It'll be 5-10 minute section at least.